There's a list of character types seen throughout various films and stories. You have main characters, side characters, static characters, round characters, symbolic characters, and more. Today, we talk about the protagonist and the antagonist in the story. Now, normally it's something like we follow the main character, which is the protagonist, throughout the story while an antagonist arises conflict against them. But what happens when the writers flip the script and we follow the antagonist through the story? One of the most perfect examples of this rare story type is within the Safdie Brothers 2017 film, Good Time. Now, before we begin, we must know what is a main character and a protagonist. The main character is simply the character we follow the most and who the story is about. The protagonist is a character who drives the plot and overall changes by the end of the film, completing a character arc. These are usually the same character, but not in all cases. Meanwhile, the antagonist supplies conflict towards the protagonist, preventing change within the protagonist while not really changing much themselves. This is important for later on. Good Time switches things up. Connie is our main character. We follow him around all night as he tries to acquire $10,000 to bail his brother, Nick, out of jail. But he's not the protagonist. Instead, he's the antagonist, but still the main character of the story. So what makes him the antagonist? I can simply ask you this. Who does he actually end up helping? Nobody. In fact, everyone Connie comes across, he completely ruins. Let's run it back from the beginning. We'll start after Nick gets taken in by the police. Don't worry, I'll be coming back to him later. First victim in his path? Corey.
Hey.
When Connie needs $10,000 for the bail bond, he asks his friend for $3,000, putting her on the spot.
I'm just a little short on the bail money right now.
How short?
It's like a few thousand.
Hey, that's not bad.
That's why I was just hoping your mom's credit card could cover the rest of it.
When they actually get to the bail bond office, he then switches it up and makes it the original $10,000.
$10,000?
We do.
You said it was like a couple $1,000.
What's so long?
He's completely toxic to her and ruins the relationship with Corey and her mother in a matter of minutes.
You want to talk to them? Mom! Sorry, Mom. I'm sorry. No, of course.
A simple knock on the door, we go from this to this.
This is your fault. I just wanted to do a good thing for somebody.
Connie then makes his way to the hospital that his brother is staying at, where he successfully sneaks out a patient with the same injuries. He then meets Crystal, a 16-year-old girl who lives with her grandmother. This is also the time he finds out the guy he just snuck out of the hospital isn't his brother, it's a guy named Dre.
Where the fuck am I, man? You do this to my fucking face. Fuck up. Lower your voice.
Starting with Crystal, though, he manipulates her into taking them to an abandoned amusement park to pick up a bag of money that Ray had mentioned, just leaving her when the cops showed up.
Yo! Is this the one that was running around? Nah, it wasn't the girl, bro. I don't know what that is.
Again, it started with a simple knock on the door, and we went from this to this. Next is the security guard at the park, a man just doing his job, ends up getting beaten, doused in acid, and ends up being taken in by the police as the bad guy.
There goes that drug use, huh?
Then there's Ray, the guy he broke out of the hospital. Ray didn't ask to get put in this situation, but he ended up being there because of Connie's decision. He's constantly getting berated by Connie, who only uses him to find the other bag of money in the amusement park.
Look, losers like you are incapable of taking care of themselves. You're either leeching off mommy, or leeching off welfare, or living off the government in jail. That's you!
You don't know the first thing about me, bro.
Connie's toxicity would go so far as to indirectly lead to Ray's death. All these people Connie had a negative effect on. All of them were innocent before tonight. Not anymore. He's selfish, sneaky, and overall just not a good person. Then we have Connie's biggest victim, his own brother Nick. Why is this? Because Nick is actually the protagonist of the film. Don't believe me? Look at it this way. The first scene in the film, Nick is trying to get some help from a psychiatrist.
You ever heard that before?
He's resistant, but you can tell that he wants to give in.
Nick?
Right as they're getting somewhere, Connie walks in, interrupting the session and taking Nick out with him.
Excuse me. You Peter? Yes, I am. We're in the middle of saying hello.
Nick, what are you doing?
Connie literally prevents Nick from taking a step forward. Antagonist prevents protagonist from changing. Of course, Connie's toxicity towards his brother leads to the bank robbery and Nick's arrest. Connie goes through the night trying to get the money, and this eventually leads to his own demise. Connie gets arrested, the bad guy loses. But there's really one scene that ties this whole film together. It's the one scene that really does it for me, and it's the ending. After Connie gets arrested, we finally see Nick again. He's walking with a psychiatrist from before, but this time Nick is actually getting help. He's put into a group of others like himself where he finally gets that help.
That's Samantha. This is
As the activities begin, Nick is again resistant. But then something happens.
Cross the room if you've ever not gotten along with your family members sometimes.
There is family drama.
Family drama.
Nick gives in,
Family drama?
finally accepting change.
Have another suggestion?
In this fast-paced, close-up shot neon world, we finally slow down at the end and look from the outside. And with this, our protagonist's arc is complete.
Touch me.
Right.
Good Time is a fast-paced story about an antagonist's chaotic night and the trail of destruction he leaves behind. All the while, our protagonist, with limited screen time, is finally able to get the help he needs.
Dragon?
Through their film, the Safdie Brothers show that anyone can be the main character.